when I think back to my childhood. I remember the laughter that rang without care, the wide-eyed wonder at simple things, and the kind of happiness untouched by the weight of the world. Childhood was sweet because I did not walk through it alone. I had my twin brother, Hamid, by my side. We were identical, in spirit and appearance. We had matching laughs, and eyes that searched the world with the same curiosity. But where he was cautious, I was wild. He was the quiet one, and I was the boisterous one. We were complementary forces. We were partners in every mischief, mirrors of one another's joys and sorrows. Together we built castles in the sand and filled our parents' hands and hearts with joy. Our bond was not just of blood, but of moments stitched together so tightly that the memory of one is incomplete without the other. We knew nothing of burdens. Only of stories told at dusk by our mother, the warmth of family, and the simple joy of being loved by our family. Then came the dreadful period that carved a scar across our childhood. Our beloved mother slipped away. She died while bringing another life into the world. I still remember the hushed voices in the house, the lowered eyes of family and friends, and the way silence lingered in every corner. My twin and I were about 7 years old at the time. We were too young to understand the weight of death, but old enough to feel the emptiness of her absence. Life changed for us after her passing. Our days shifted in ways too subtle at first, but soon impossible to ignore. Without our mother, the house felt less like a home. My twin and I began to grow up faster than we should have, learning to comfort ourselves in moments when only our mother's arms could have done so. Our father, though present, was weighed down by his own deep grief. He bore the test with remarkable patience. He became both father and mother as best as he could. He made sure we lacked nothing essential, even when his own heart was heavy with grief. He tried to fill two shoes at once, shielding us with discipline yet softening us with care, though we often sensed the loneliness behind his tired eyes. Family members came around and helped out as best as they could. It was kind and well-meaning, but they had their own lives to live, and slowly the visits became fewer. One of the things that carried us through those difficult days was school. It was more than just a place of learning. It was a distraction from life's reality. The laughter of classmates, the curiosity of lessons, even the routine of writing in our notebooks gave us a sense of normalcy we needed. School gave structure to days that otherwise felt uncertain. When our old teacher resigned, we thought school would lose the small sense of stability it gave us. But then the new teacher arrived, a woman with a kind smile and a gentleness that immediately softened the room. When she learned about our mother's passing, she treated us with a tenderness that felt almost motherly. Her words to us were measured with care. Little gestures, an encouraging pat on the shoulder, a smile when our answers faltered. The way she lingered a moment longer by our desks. In her sweetness, we found a small echo of the warmth we had lost at home. Though she could never replace our mother, her presence became a quiet comfort, a reminder that kindness could still reach us even in the middle of our grief. I still remember how the bond between Miss Zara and us first evolved. It was such a simple moment. The bell rang for break, and the classroom buzzed as children pushed back their chairs and hurried toward the door. Hamid and I rose too, ready to follow the tide, when the gentle voice of our new teacher, Miss Zara, called out above the noise. "Wait a moment, Hamid and Nayo," she said, her eyes soft but firm. We halted, glancing at each other, unsure what our offense was. She walked over to us. "I know you usually take your lunch together," she began, pausing as though choosing her words with care. "But today, I'd like you to join me." She reached into her bag and set down a pack of food on the desk. "You don't have to eat alone, not when I'm here," she added with a gentle smile. We hesitated, unused to such gestures. She motioned for us to sit. We shook our heads and politely declined, as it wasn't our habit. Our parents had always taught us to be content with what we had, to appreciate our own lunch boxes no matter how simple they were. We weren't raised to reach out for what belonged to others. So, with shy smiles, we declined her offer, not out of rudeness, but out of the discipline our parents had instilled in us. But she persisted. Each time break approached, she would call us softly, a gentle reminder that her desk was open to us. Her patience wore no sign of frustration. Initially, we would smile politely and hurry out, clutching our own meals. But her persistence was different from insistence. It was steady, gentle, and full of care. And so, one afternoon, we finally gave in. She welcomed us with such joy that it felt as though she had been waiting all along. We felt the tightness in our chests ease. That afternoon, we didn't just eat, we talked, we laughed a little. She asked us many questions about ourselves, not in the way teachers usually did, but with genuine curiosity and care. She wanted to know about our family, how we liked our classes, which subjects we found difficult, and many more. Her voice was soft, never pressing, giving us space to answer. That conversation, simple as it was, planted the first seeds of trust between us. From that day on, something beautiful began to grow in Hamid and I. We opened up to her. It wasn't about food. It was the warmth of her asking about our lessons, listening to the small things we shared, or giving us the kind of encouragement that made us feel seen. Her kindness was steady, and in her presence we felt a gentleness that reminded us of what we had lost. She became a quiet refuge, someone who filled a small corner of the emptiness in our hearts. Though she was our teacher, in those moments she was a safe place. We often carried pieces of our school life back home, especially stories about our teacher. Her name slipped easily into our conversations, as though she was someone everyone already knew. Over dinner, or during casual chats, we would recount how understanding she was, how she listened, and how she made everyone feel seen. At first, our father would simply listen quietly, nodding as he helped us with our homework or did other things. So one evening, he sat at the dining table, pulled out a sheet of paper, and began to write. The note read, "Thank you for your kindness and for the joy you bring to my children." He folded it carefully, placed it in an envelope, and handed it to me. "Give this to your teacher, Nayo," he said softly. It was our father's way of expressing gratitude to a teacher who had shown his children kindness when life had grown heavy. When I passed the note to her after class the next day, she looked momentarily surprised, then smiled with quiet grace. She read it right there at her desk, her eyes softening as she finished. "Please tell your father I'm grateful," she said. "I only did what any teacher should." The day Miss Zara met our father. It was during a Parents-Teachers Association meeting, one of those bright Thursday mornings. When he arrived, Hamid and I saw the surprise on our teacher's face. She had heard plenty about our father, through our stories, the small essays we wrote in class. And questions about our father also found their way into our conversations with her. At first, it seemed casual, the kind of gentle curiosity teachers often show toward their pupils' families. She would ask, "How is your father doing?" or "Is he managing all right with you too?" Her voice always carried genuine concern, her eyes soft and thoughtful. We would answer eagerly, telling her how he tried his best to fill the emptiness our mother left behind, how he cooked simple meals, made sure we did our homework, and sometimes fell asleep on the couch while waiting for us to finish studying. At the time, it felt harmless, even comforting. She asked them with such care, such gentle curiosity, that we never thought to question her intentions. But years later, when I look back, I realize those questions weren't as innocent as they seemed. She wasn't simply showing concern. She was studying us. Bit by bit, she was quietly finding her way into our world. She had it all planned out, every gesture, every smile, every word of sympathy. What we thought was compassion was calculation. What we took for kindness was very careful strategy. She didn't need to force her way in, she made us invite her. She became part of our story, not by chance, but by choice, hers, not ours. And by the time we realized it, the damage had already been done. The PTA was her entry point. She knew it was the perfect platform to study our father and earn his trust. She used it as a quiet bridge, a way to weave herself into our personal lives. At first, it seemed harmless, even admirable. Every phone call, every PTA discussion, was a carefully laid brick in her plan. What began as routine school updates slowly evolved into emotional influence. She showed a disarming kind of interest, praising our progress and insisting our father and she work closely together to bring out the best in us. Beneath the politeness and smiles, she was tightening invisible strings. The PTA was never just a forum for parents and teachers. For her, it was the stage on which her manipulation played out, quiet, deliberate, and devastatingly effective. Even after we advanced to the next class, Miss Zara consistently found subtle, yet meaningful ways to stay connected with us. Whether it was casually checking in under the guise of offering help, sending personalized messages of encouragement, or finding opportunities to coincidentally be around when we needed guidance. She skillfully ensured her presence remained felt. There was a certain art to how she did it, never overbearing, but just persuasive enough to remind us of her influence and investment in our growth. We were around 11 when our father sat Hamid and I down, one evening. His voice carefully measured, the way adults speak when they know they are about to disrupt something delicate. He told us he was going to remarry. At that age, we were old enough to understand what that meant, but not quite old enough to grasp everything it would unravel. What did surprise us, at first, was who he was marrying. Although somewhere, buried beneath the confusion and the shock, there was already a knowing. Because of course it was her. Miss Zara. Our former class teacher. Looking back, there had been signs, glances that lingered too long during parent-teacher meetings. The way her praise of our potential often morphed into commentary about the kind of parenting we needed. She had always known how to position herself just right, close enough to seem indispensable, never close enough to be questioned. And now, somehow, she had rewritten her role entirely. She was the devil we would call Mom. So when our father married Miss Zara, we accepted it without protest. In many ways, we welcomed her. She was, after all, our teacher, someone we respected, even admired, in the structured comfort of a classroom. It felt almost logical, the way she stepped from one role into another. We convinced ourselves that nothing had truly changed. That this was just another version of her care, extended beyond the walls of the school. We truly embraced the idea of having a mother once again, with open hearts. In embracing her, we weren't just accepting a new person into our family, we welcomed the possibility of a complete home. And so, with cautious joy, we opened our arms and souls to the beautiful promise of family restored. For Miss Zara, the transition from former teacher to stepmother had been seamless. As if this had been the plan all along. While we had outgrown her classroom, she had simply reorganized and continued her lesson, only now, the subject was us, and the stakes were far more personal. In those early period, after she joined our family, she not only met our hope, she embraced it wholeheartedly. Where our mother's presence had once been a silent, aching absence, she gently stepped in to fill the spaces left behind. Weaving her own threads of care into the fabric of our lives. She filled in the gaps. The comforting motherly embraces, the guiding hand, offering all the tenderness and affection we longed for. She became the steady anchor we could rely on, from soothing our fears to celebrating our dreams in the way mothers do. In her arms, we found the safety and comfort we had longed for. In her eyes, the acceptance and understanding that told us we were truly seen and cherished. The daily acts of care, those quiet moments of listening and nurturing, wove a new definition of motherhood that she became more than just a stepmother to Hamid and I. She became simply Mom. It was an affirmation of the love she gave so freely and a celebration of the family we had chosen to embrace. We could quite sense our father's relief. It was almost as though, beneath the surface, he was quietly pleased. Knowing deep down that he had made the right choice, not for his own sake, but for ours. Though he didn't openly express it, there was a hidden satisfaction in his demeanor, a silent acknowledgement that the path he chose would ultimately benefit us. Our father knew that his path in our life would be marked by absence. As a military man, his duty often called him far from home. He knew he couldn't always be there, so he wanted to make sure we were surrounded by love, strength, and guidance in his place. That's why he made such an important choice. He chose her, our teacher who became our stepmother. He trusted that her presence would be of benefit to us when he had to be away. Life with our stepmother was all right until our father's military job necessitated a transfer to a new location. When the transfer orders came, we knew what it meant. It meant another stretch of time marked by absence. Another chapter of phone calls, text messages and video calls. When he broke the news to Hamid and I, few days before he left, the look in his eyes told us he wished it could be different. That leaving us was not by choice, but by duty. He knelt down slowly, his hands gently resting on our shoulders, and for a moment, he just looked at us. As if trying to mimize every curve of our faces, every shade of who we were becoming. Then, with a voice low and warm, "Nayo, my dearest daughter," he said softly, his eyes resting on me. "You are my wildflower, lovely, fierce, bright, untamed. The world will try to tame you, but don't let it. Grow wild. Speak loud. Dream without fences. I will miss your storm, your laughter, your endless questions. I will miss all of you. My dearest son," he said to Hamid. "You are my gentle warrior, the calm in every storm. The quiet wisdom that steadies us all. You feel deeply, even when no one sees. You listen with your heart. Don't lose that softness, not even when life tries to harden you. I will miss your stillness, your hugs, your way of seeing the world." He pulled us both close, his arms around the two pieces of his heart, and held us like he never wanted to let go. "I love you, and take care of each other," he whispered. "I may be far, but I am always with you. Be happy. Be kind. Be good children. Hold tight to the rope of Allah." And then he stood up, kissed our foreheads and told us to go get ready for our outing to the mall. And so, we watched him pack thereafter. We watched him embrace us tightly, kiss us goodbye, and walk out the door with the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, after entrusting us to our stepmother. What he couldn't see, what none of us could, was that her love was a mask, and her warmth, a performance. The strength he admired was real, but it was turned inward, not to protect us, but to protect her own image. While he was far away, believing we were safe, believing we were loved, a different reality unfolded behind closed doors. She changed when he left. She revealed who she truly was without him there to witness it. The home he thought he had built as a refuge for us became something else entirely, a place of tension, confusion, and quiet ache. We came to understand that the woman we had once known as Miss Zara, the firm but thoughtful teacher, was only one version of her. The truer version emerged slowly, almost artfully, as though revealed by design, composed, calculating, quietly territorial. She had not simply joined our family, she had begun to reauthor it. To edit the past, direct the present, and shape the future in ways that left little room for resistance. And by the time we saw her clearly, We were already deep inside her story, characters she had cast, in a life she had been writing long before we knew we were part of it. The earliest signs that something was wrong didn't come in the form of outright abuse. Instead, it began subtly with our stepmother picking on me and Hamid in ways that, at first, felt like normal family tension. At the time, I didn't recognize it as the start of emotional manipulation or targeted mistreatment. But over time, the pattern became harder to ignore. We were adolescents, caught in that vulnerable space between childhood and adulthood where everything feels uncertain. She regularly criticized how we looked, spoke, dressed, or behaved. In that stage, I was not happy with my body as I was changing rapidly, and like most teens, I was already feeling self-conscious and unsure of myself. She commented on how I looked when I walked into a room. She noticed flaws that I hadn't even seen in the mirror yet, pointing them out with aggressive remarks or jokes. She framed them as concern or teasing, but I could feel the way her eyes lingered too long. And the satisfaction she seemed to take in making me shrink into myself. Her comments didn't just make me self-conscious, they made me feel shame. As if my body itself was a problem, something that needed fixing, hiding, or apologizing for. I know now that the harassment wasn't about our health or well-being, it was about power. What should have been a time of self-discovery and growth became, instead, a time of self-loathing and silence. Then came the next stage of our stepmother's behavior. Her habit of barging into my room, or the toilet while I was dressing or taking a bath. What began as sharp words and criticism evolved into something far more invasive and violating. These intrusions were not accidental. They happened too often, too deliberately, and always when I was most vulnerable. At first, she would offer simple excuses, saying she needed to grab something, wanted to check on me, or just forgot to knock. But the timing of her interruptions always seemed to coincide with moments when I was exposed, pulling on clothes, undressing, or in the middle of a bath. It was as though she was waiting for those moments, watching for opportunities to catch me off guard.
Stories like this are closer to reality than we think. What do you think happens next? The rest would unfold in the next part. Please stay tuned. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.